Merry, it's still Christmas, and happy fourth day of Christmas in this 12 Days of Christmas series. I'm Krista. I have been sharing a little bit about how God's given me different gifts for every month of my Jesus year. I just want to document my reflections because it was such a wild year. So today we're going to be talking about the month of April. So as I was saying in the last video, and I'm still cooking my gumbo, so you have to kind of bear with me in this background chopping noise. I'm so sorry. I had some health issues in March, but I also had my health issues continue into April. And I was planning on going to my cousin's gymnastics meet. She played for the LSU Tigers in Louisiana, where I'm from. Her sister was also on the LSU Tigers gymnastics team, and both of them are super, super talented. And this is the youngest daughter of that set of cousins. And I didn't go to any of her meets in the 4 years that she was competing at LSU, and I was super bummed by that. So I really wanted to make it to either the regionals or the championships, because LSU they usually are doing super well. And I think it's not good to be an LSU fan in LA because of UCLA. Anyway, I was planning on going to a meet in, I think it was Texas, in April. And because of my health issues and I was not really going anywhere because I didn't really have any extra energy. And as I said, I was in bed almost 12 hours a day. And my spare time was spent resting. I didn't see friends. I didn't do anything. I just did literally the bare minimum because that's all I could afford to do with the amount of energy that I had during these days. But I really like supporting my family. That's really important to me. And I had never been to a meet of hers. My godmother, her mom, was, trying to get me tickets to the competition. And at the super last minute, I realized that I just couldn't go. I didn't have the energy. I couldn't do it. As I was saying, I was kind of wrestling with my dependence on God and how, usually I'm a pretty strong person. I don't really get sick, and especially not to the degree that I got sick this year. And I was so disappointed that I couldn't go to this competition and on this little trip around Easter. So to cheer myself up, I put together with one of my students at the Newman Center a little itinerary for the Seven Churches pilgrimage. I think the Seven Churches tradition originates from St. Philip Neri in Rome. After the Holy Thursday Mass, the first day of the Triduum, we're going into Good Friday, which is the only day of the year where we don't have Mass. And so a lot of churches do an altar of repose to give people the opportunity to be with Jesus in the Eucharist before Good Friday, when we don't have Jesus in the Eucharist, at least consecrated. Obviously, we have Good Friday services all over, but they do not consecrate the host. They use leftover hosts from Thursday. So I hadn't done the Seven Church pilgrimage since living in LA. Hold on, let me go put this in the pot. These are the celery. This is what's called the Trinity, actually. I just realized. I'm probably going to cut this out, but that's the celery is part of the Cajun Trinity of seasoning. It's kind of the foundation of everything. Anyway, so I put together this 7 church pilgrimage with some of my students, and I invited a bunch of my friends to join along. We got to see Jesus at 7 different churches in San Gabriel Valley, and we were preparing and interceding for, at least I was, for the Eucharistic revival that was going to be happening in May here in Pasadena. We ended up going to a bunch of churches that were involved with the Pasadena Eucharistic Revival. And it was really exciting to do that with a group of friends. We came to Mass here at St. Philip. We started here and we ended here. I had hot chocolate in my car, and we just went through the night all the way to midnight to visit with Jesus. It was a very kind of simple little pilgrimage because it was all within a maybe 20-minute radius of our home base in Pasadena. But it was just so beautiful to share these moments of silence with my community, and just to kind of intentionally spend time. Did I do the onions already? Wow, I did the onions already. It was just such a gift to do that with them and share that with them, even though I felt so sad that I was missing out on something that I was planning on doing. So I think the lesson and the gift of this experience was that God really wanted me to see how he can still bring grace towards things that even when we're looking forward to something and we're planning for something, that when you pivot, like he can still be present there, and things don't always have to go as planned. And by April, I was really thinking I'd be well by then, especially because I started getting sick at the end of January and the beginning of February. And to be so weak for so long, even continuing into April and at Easter, and feeling like, and I don't think I mentioned this in March, but feeling like my health issues were stopping my discernment process, because there are certain health issues that if you like apply with a religious community, they would reject you. And I wasn't trying to enter a religious community. At the time, I was discerning consecrated virginity with the Archdiocese. And, I had heard so many times before that circumstance is part of discernment. And this is when I started understanding how that could play into the context of my personal discernment. And even though it was just like a little trip and not getting to go see family for Easter, it ended up having greater significance as the year continued. So yeah, that's the gift of April. And I'm going to make roux now, and then I'll come back for May. So thanks for listening, and see you next time.